Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm doing my guide to Corrode and what comp I think you should be playing and how I think you could play all 5 of these agents individually if you're playing this for your premier team. Maybe a bit less so if you're playing this for a professional team, obviously. I don't think anybody's really going to be taking tips from me, but I do think this should be the comp that a lot of teams are going to play for this map because I think these agents all combine very well together, as well as all individually being very, very good on this map. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys are going to be playing on Corrode in your ranked games, and if you play for a premier team, let me know what you think, what you're going to be playing in those games as well. But without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so we are in the game now, and I wanted to start with Viper because I actually haven't seen too much like hype for Viper on this map. I think some people think she'll be good, but I don't think people think she'll be as good as I think she'll be. So the reason I think Viper is going to be so insanely good on this map, specifically on the attack side, is this Viper setup right here. So this wall allows you to take control of this A yard position that I think is very, very important. Because if you control at like this space before the site, then you can go back through mid. If somebody's trying to hold in a link, you can kind of crunch them while also taking mid control with like a smoke here, a dart somewhere in here, or something like that. So this area will be very important in yard. And I think this setup allows you to take this area pretty much for free. So you do this wall, you go in the corner here and kind of line it up with the edge here. I don't know exactly where I want it to end. Maybe get rid of the gap in the back here, have the end part hit like the back wall here. Not exactly sure with that, but I know this front part of the wall is the part that actually matters. So once the round starts, you aim, I mean, you probably want to aim it first, but you go to this part of like this crane thing. I don't even know what to call this, but like where my crosshair is, and you line it up with the edge of this house. So like right about here, you left click, no jump, no run, no nothing like that. And it should land. No. Okay. We'll give this one more try and then I'll have to restart. And that'll be really annoying. So you go in the corner, line up here with that. Maybe a little bit more to the left. Left click. And yeah, there we go. So the setup should look something like this. Give you a little bit of a one-way, kind of smoke off anybody playing in this position where they can play in front of the wall, use util to stall you, stuff like that. And lets you walk pretty much through the orb and past anybody on the left here to get into this position essentially for free. Obviously, somebody could play here on an off angle against you, but I mean, people can play stuff like that on the bind A short setup, and I think this setup is akin to that on this map. Like, you can take a main. I gotta wait for the wall to regen. I don't know why I recalled the orb, dude. Ugh. I don't make these videos much anymore. I had an alt account where I did make them, and then I stopped because I got bored of it. But I think this map, being new, I think it's a good chance for a good video. And I actually do enjoy making these videos. But you put the wall up, you take a main, you drop it, stuff like that. People can walk into this corner, but I mean, you just have to clear the left first. You put the wall up, even the orb up as well, and you just go like this and clear this and get a free 1v1. And then you can drop the orb as you start walking up here, take this fight, clear this all out. Obviously, you have to manage the gas and everything like that. You can't do it as quickly as I'm necessarily doing, but I think it still works very, very well here. Then, I mean, I don't really have anything else for attack with this Viper. Like, you pretty much are going to be lurking towards A every round. With this setup, similar to how maybe you would be playing around A short with this on bind, or maybe towards A on split as well. So yeah, I just think this Viper setup is disgustingly good. As for the defensive side, which I think we'll just do quickly, there's 2 walls that I think are really good. One, I'm not as sure about. Actually, I do want to restart the round because I do think generally as Viper, I'll want to play towards B because I will be playing this. Oh, wow, that was not what I meant to do. I'll be generally playing this for my premier team, but you could throw a wall like this for mid. I don't know exactly how I want to do it. It's bad. I'll redo it in a second, but The more important thing is a lineup here for an orb for a one-way for B main. So you go in this corner on the barrier, and when the round starts, you aim where you see this vine right here that goes through on this building. You go where it connects with like the wood part here, so about right here. You aim here and left click. No jump, no run. Again, didn't work first try. Cool. That's awesome. That's exactly what I wanted. There we go. These lineups are still very new to me. I haven't even used these in a real game yet, but seem pretty good to me. And you can use this, take this. I would generally do this with a teammate, not alone, unless you're playing Viper in ranked. Then, I mean, your teammate's going to be useless anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the wall, I'm again not exactly sure where I'd want it. It'd be something either like this, where it'd go like this into bottom mid, or and like that would deny more info. They can't get past the wall before the wall gets up when the round starts, so I don't really think it matters if it's there. But you could also do here, which is more akin to like maybe like the Viper wall that I think Liquid and Genji were using on Sunset during Toronto and stuff like that. While also, I mean, this also just blocks B main. Wait, no, Genji wasn't using it. It was just Liquid that was using it. But yeah, you can do something like this or the bottom mid one here, whatever you think is better, realistically. And yeah, that's it for Viper. Obviously, the Snakebite's really good at stopping rushes. The Viper ult's going to be good for post plants, specifically towards A, in my opinion. You can kind of like dump it in CT here or something like that. Also, if you're going to play towards A, like, I wouldn't really do this too much, but if you do want to switch it up, you can put a wall like this, which effectively does the same thing bottom mid, as well as the same thing here, or... I mean, I wouldn't really do it any other way from A, honestly. You could do that. And then there's an orb that you can throw. Let me see if I can get it first try. I've gotten it first try every time, but I will miss it this time. No, okay. Which, you can have a one-way towards elbow here, which is pretty strong. But other than that, like if you want to throw the stuff towards A, you can. I don't know if it's better than B, though, just because I like being able to take B main control as a defender is a lot easier than holding like deep A control with this one way as Viper, because like it's harder to take this space as a defender and it's a lot easier to take B main. So I think it should be a little bit better to have your Viper towards B, specifically because of this one way and what you can do with that mid wall. Now, as for Fade, I don't even have too much specific tech for you. I'm not going to lie. But I just think she's very strong on this map. I'm just going to ghost around to show you guys, because there's so many different roofs where you can throw different Fade haunts on and scan people that are on site. You can throw one here for B exec. For defense, you can throw one here. You can throw a C's over the top of this roof. Something like this. It might take a little bit too long to land like that, so you might want to just do it. I mean, I guess like that, but like that. With this one way, if you want. In mid, I mean, she's pretty decent. I think Sova is better for mid, but I think overall Fade's good enough to take mid and is a lot better on the other extremities and like for taking sites and stuff like that. As for A, like, it's a little worse than B, but like these, I mean, a haunt like this, anywhere like on this line pretty much, on top of this, on top of the chimney here. You can do ones, probably you can get one here. I don't know why this does not work. You can throw one here. You can throw one in the window here. Now, the thing I'll say with like is, as my mic just completely disconnects. Hopefully that didn't make too loud of a noise. I'll check after recording. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. Is a lot of people are going to ask about this wall in A main. And I'm not going to lie. As a defender, I don't think you should be playing towards A as Fade too much. I don't think this really does enough to justify maybe moving some other agents off of this A site that we haven't gotten to yet. But as an attacker, I do think having an Odin on Fade will be pretty strong. Being able to just wallbang anybody that, like, maybe they're holding aggressively on yard, you push them back into sight, and they have to play around this wall. And then you can then try to dart through here, if I can actually hit it, or dart up here and try to spam people through the wall for free kills. I think all that is very, very strong. But the defensive side, I actually don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as maybe some of your random creators on TikTok and YouTube would kind of suggest. Obviously, the Prowlers are really good at taking the extremities like this. There's the barrier, like the barrier's like all the way back here, so taking A main control on defense is going to be a little bit harder, as I suggested earlier with the Viper. But like taking B main control on attack, like it is going to be harder because the barrier's back here. But I think the dog being able to take control here, with maybe some other pieces of util, should be pretty strong and be able to get you into B main fairly easily, especially if there is not the Viper one way here. Like in ranked, I think you should generally be trying to take B main control early in the round. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a ton of tech for Fade. If anybody has any cool Fade Haunt lineups, I guess I'm not going to suggest for you to put links in my comments section, but like, if you have any cool Fade tech, just talk about it in the comments. I'm definitely going to listen to that stuff because it is going to be very helpful for me and my Premier scene as well. I mean, also, like, the one other thing is, like, you could play in Heaven if the smoke is actually good and covers the rafter here. You can throw a dart, like, high, maybe up here, and spam through the Heaven smoke, or something like that. But overall, now my game is completely frozen, and we'll move on to the next station. Alright, now on to Omen, who... I'm going to start with the defensive side with Omen, because I think it actually is a little bit more important. A lot of people are bigging up Astra on this map, but I feel like if Astra was going to be good, she should be used to, like, take A main control and take B main control, which, honestly, I just think Omen is better at on this map. Obviously, like, a paranoia like this or something like that is generally going to be pretty good. Again, though, I don't think taking A main is going to be very easy. So what I think you should do is go watch maybe a VOD of Sentinels playing Sunset at Toronto, and you will see how Bang is kind of holding towards elbow on that, where he can, like, jump peek this deep. He'll generally have the one way because it's Sunset, but here on this map, you'll probably have to smoke this. But you can kind of jump peek, jiggle this, do something like that. You see some pressure, they start running up on you or whatever, you Omen flash them. You can peek, try to get a kill or off of it or something, but then fall back to an angle like this, jiggle, just keep going, try to get another pick, maybe fall back, maybe some damage. Go back to elbow here, keep jiggling, and then, like, obviously not swing wide, but, like, you could even save your Omen flash for this. You see something at all, you Omen blind, and you can swing off that, maybe smoke this, hold deep control here, like this, something like that. If you want to do that, that works perfectly fine. Why does my game keep freezing? Like, the FPS is really good, or, like, just generally good, until, like, just it randomly freezes, but whatever. But yeah, I think holding A like this on Omen is going to be very strong, give you a lot of delay, especially with Vise, who will be the next agent I go through, because I think if you have Vise here as well, it'll be a lot easier. As long as somebody has your mid control, you should be fine. As for B, I don't think you should be playing towards B as much. You really don't see the Omens play, like, B on Sunset because of how strong the A main control with him is. I think that's the same deal with Omen on this map. Now, this Omen flash is really good. If you want to try to fight deep into B main, with maybe this, a Fade Dart, a Yoru flash, something like that, I think all that is very strong, and you can do that maybe once or twice a half, but overall, I think you should... Again, my game freezes. Why? What was that noise? Hope that came through, because that's crazy work. But, yeah, that's really strong, all on defense. And then when you go to the attacking side, I just think using the Omen Flash for the site execs, specifically towards B, are very, very strong. You can do stuff like this, maybe like this to catch, like, the cubby. I don't know, maybe not like that. But, like, you can also use it if you want to take deep control into CT on B. You can use an Omen blind like this, let your teammates fight like this. Or maybe if you know they're playing close here, you could flash like that. Also, generally, I don't know how many people watching this video will need to know this, but I think you should be smoking here and here. Now, this can depend on your plan in the round. If you want to take more towards, like, backside here and into B-Link, you could smoke elbow. But personally, I think even if you are going to take this section of the map, I think smoking Heaven and B-Link are generally going to be your best options. As for towards A, I mean, if you don't have the Viper wall, if you're just playing Omen in ranked, you can smoke here to take this control. It's a lot safer and lets you kind of take this more for free as long as you don't miss the smoke like I did. But if you are playing the Viper and you want to maybe do a play through the left side of the wall with your team, you can smoke here. Or even if you want to take more towards mid, you could smoke here. But I wouldn't really recommend doing this too much. Maybe like once every couple games if you're like calling it as an IGL or something like that. As for smoking the site, you could do one of two things. You could smoke here if you're like specifically if you're like low on time and need to like focus on clearing the site. I think this smoke is better than maybe a deep CT smoke like here, where I think you'd be better off maybe doing this if you're doing like an earlier round exec where you can use the fade util like a C's here to clear this box. Everybody can take time to spam this. Then you can slowly go into sight like that, all while somebody's holding this. The one other thing on this map that I think actually might be pretty good is opping on Omen, because you can take angles like this that are a little bit safer, where you take a shot, get out, and then you fall back, like I was describing. It's kind of like what an opper does a lot of the time. So I think if you do that on Omen, it actually won't be that bad, as long as you're actually using your smokes and your flash. Sometimes it might be a little bit harder, like if they make noise towards B main, you have to play here. Actually, the smoke doesn't reach, which could be a decent issue, but also, in this comp, you have the Viper wall, so, I don't know. Maybe Astra might be better for ranked, since the map is fairly large in terms of doing that. Other than that, like, Omen, you want to smoke here in mid, not really on the barrier as much, because the barriers are, like, back here and here, I think. So, you'll generally not want to be doing that. Maybe if you're playing like a Sova in rank, like as like your teammate is playing Sova or something like that, you could smoke here, let them dart like here, and drone or something like that for the top mid angle. Whatever you really want to do, doesn't really matter. Also, I thought this smoke was pretty decent, because the only way they can really see through this, obviously gives you less control, but the only way they can see through it is jumping up here, and like you can kind of just hold that while you walk up, kind of thing. So overall, I think Omen is still the best controller on this map, as well as most of the other maps in the pool right now outside of Blind. Last up here, we have buys, and I think a lot of people will like Cypher because of the trips, like early on A, where you can play through the wall and spam with the Odin. I think that's pretty good for ranked, but as for like Premier and like coordinated play, I think using the Vice Flash to take map control on the attack side is huge. And having the Thorns for a post plant where you can maybe take deep elbow control, have the Vise, use all of her kit to delay the already long rotates if they're rotating through spawn, or just defending floods from like B-Link, which is very, very prominent on this map. I think if you're rotating through mid, it's a lot faster of a rotate. So if you're coming from B-Link and being able to flood, I think stopping that with the Vise Thorns is going to be very strong. Also, the Vise ult is very good. It can cover most of the site here if you use it here, and even pretty deep into elbow if you use it over here. But I think generally this one will be better. It gets more towards Heaven and towards B-Link. Again, stopping those floods that I was talking about. If you're starting over towards A on the round, you can put a wall like this in mid. That will defend from mid walkdowns. I was more thinking like here. I didn't even know you could do this, but that works. Otherwise, I'd just trip your own flank most of the time, specifically in ranked as well. Using the Vise Flash to take A main with this comp generally won't be needed too much, but if you want to do it in ranked, you can. As over towards A, this Vise ult is very, very strong. I mean, they literally can't do anything about this other than playing, like, I guess a deep CT, like here, and flooding, but even then, like, there are a few steps back as well. Like, it forces them really far. And flooding in from CT will be pretty strong if the rotates get there in time. So again, using these thorns and potentially isolating somebody on this box or on the site will be pretty strong. As for the defensive side, I mean, using Visol retake on A should be pretty decent. I actually haven't checked this, but like that's not that bad. Obviously, you'd rather it get maybe a little bit into yard as well. But if you can take the CT control and rip it from here, this is very, very good. A lot better than maybe like a Killjoy ult would be, where if you tried to place it here and somebody swung elbow, they could spam it pretty easily through the box. I think Vise will be at her strongest, playing a similar role to the Omen. So if you are playing this comp in Premiere, I'll show a setup later, but you'll want to play with the Omen in that spot that I talked about. You want to have the Thorns for him and the Flash. Then you can put your wall, specifically if you're not taking like mid control in any way, shape, or form. Put your wall somewhere towards mid. Obviously the barrier is like here, so you'll have to wait until the barrier drops, but you can wait and put it maybe like here before they can get up to you, and you'll have a bit deeper of mid control, and you can play like around here. If the wall gets stripped, you can ask Omen to smoke, and then kind of slowly get out of your position. Maybe have Omen back up a little bit towards elbow as well. As for B, which I think will be a little bit more important with Vise than any other agent, in terms of like playing a different site, because I do think a lot of the spots are like the best spots for an agent are kind of figured out a little bit. But you can put your wall here, pretty simple. Thorns for here. I don't even, can you do this? That's pretty nice. It's a little bit more of a hidden thorns, but you can use those. The one thing that I really like that I found is you can throw a flash. You have to get on top of this box, so you just have to like start in heaven. But you can throw a flash like here. As more, it's meant to be a little bit more to the right, but it can be covered by the leaves here and still blind people, which I realized that I played anti-flash for no reason, but it can blind people like that. As for retake B with the Visol, as long as you have the elbow control, this is really, really strong. Even this isn't that bad, but obviously it's not ideal. I think you actually might be better off ripping it from here. Yeah, probably. Or probably mid as well would be pretty decent. Yeah, like that. But yeah, I think that's it for Vise. Like, you're not really going to be playing too aggressively on this agent. You'll be generally trying to, like, if you are going to be playing aggressively, it will be around yard, trying to take fights to defend this choke point. That is very, very important. So yeah, and then on to our last agent here, Yoru. So Yoru on this map was the agent that I felt the least confident about between the 5 agents. I think you could play Neon in this role. I think you could probably play Raze in this role. But the reason I like the Yoru is being able to fight through your own Viper util. We'll get to a little bit more specifics later, but with the Viper wall up like here, you can flash through the left side and take into yard like this with a smoke here and be able to like take very nice map control like that. I think the flashes are good for taking elbow as well, like that, like this. If I could not miss it, like this for taking sight. Or maybe like this, like through the Viper wall again. I think just the flashes on Yoru specifically, having a role where like you don't have to play the flash initiator, I think is really good for Yoru. I think just having the TPs as like a get out of jail free card on defense for like maybe walking into B main, for even like opping in mid as Yoru, I think are all really strong in a map where I really don't think Jet is going to be very good. The one weakness that I do think Yoru has on this map is the TPs are not the greatest for these sites, like specifically for B. You're not really gonna be using your TP to get in too much. Like this isn't that bad, where you can TP in here. You can take the front side control and then scale on somebody backside like this, but it's a little bit harder to use your flashes, especially when your teammates are scaling in like this. Now, a TP here could be decent, but obviously somebody could just be playing over here. As long as a Fade Dart clears this, I actually wouldn't be too concerned about it. But that is a possibility. I mean, you could also Omen blind that as well. So, overall, like, I think Yoru's going to be really strong on this map. The TPs for the fast rotates through spawn. You throw it, like, here, something like this, and then come back over towards B main and take this spot. Now, once your gate crash expires, I actually don't know where I would put one. Maybe back here over towards elbow, if I can actually hit it. Something like this, maybe, would be decent. Maybe something towards mid like this, but also somebody, like if somebody lurks up mid on you, not so great. But overall, this is the one that I felt the least confident about. I don't have too much tech. You'll probably have to look up some stuff on your own. But the other thing also that I almost forgot was the Yoru ult, which I think is actually going to be really good, because there's a lot of different random corners people can play in on this site, and being able to Yoru ult through and maybe fade dart somebody and then be able to spam them is going to be really strong. Being able to Omen blind off the Yoru ult, or like, say somebody's playing here, you could potentially have the Yoru ult ping the guy and then just full spam him like that. Like, that's really strong for retakes. Same thing if somebody's playing in here and somebody's beat Link, you Yoru ult through the site, clear somebody in there, and then just full spam him like that. Like, I think all that will be very strong. Just, I don't know, maybe Neon's a little bit better, but I just think the Yoru flashes are the main thing that makes this agent good on this map. Now onto some more like set strategies and stuff that you can use actually for your Premier team. So we'll start with a more default defensive setup. A lot of the stuff that I described in this video so far is kind of used in this. You have the Viper one way, Viper and Omen take B main with Fade, using some util for the B main info, and then maybe giving up mid a little bit more and holding towards B link and letting the Viswall hold over here. The Viswall could be moved here as well if you want, depending. And then having Vise and Omen heavily hold over towards this A-Link area, or not A-Link, over this fucking yard area. There we go. And not really taking too much space into deep A main, but kind of making sure they can't get past this line. Then, for the next one, you have more of a mid walk down setup. Now, I wasn't sure exactly what to do here, but you can do this. Maybe make them speed up into B, into this setup here. I don't know what the fuck that circle was, with the Vise and the Viper. Now, I also did think A was weak, as well as this mid walk down being a little bit weak. So I did make two versions of this where the Vise would be over towards A, kind of holding that similar position to the Omen, where jiggling, if they see something, pop the thorns. If they see another thing, like if they start trying to scale on you or they hit the Vise wall, you just pop the flash. You also don't need the wall for mid with this Vise setup, so you can let mid be free and just let yourself use the wall here. And then Viper, the B is a little bit weak here, but you can kind of play a little bit of retake, throw the one way, pop it, let them maybe try to use util to get past it, and then like fall back a little bit, drop the one way, play with the wall, stuff like that. While you have three people taking down mid with the Omen Paranoia into Link here, the Fade Dart here, which I just realized there's two of, as well as the Yoru Flash. All very, very strong, and this is the main thing that I actually made this defense side around. Now onto the attacking side, where I know I said it is harder to take B main on this map, but I think that's where you should be starting a lot of your defaults, because it is just so easy to take A main with this Viper wall and orb setup that I don't even think you need to worry about using a ton of util to like make noise, take space over towards A. I think you can just generally do it for free with this Viper wall. But basically, you just use the Vise Flash and the Fade Prowler to take B main. Very similar to maybe like how you'd take A main on Pearl with like a Vise Fade Yoru comp, like where you have your three agents that have good ults fighting towards B main, trying to get the orb, farm that up, and then you can reset, maybe take a little bit into mid, maybe take a little bit towards B main, if Viper has some space over there, or even if Viper's getting like a little bit stalled over there, I think you could bring the pack over there and have a little bit of a util advantage, if they're trying to use a ton of util over towards A to stop the Viper. Then the other default I have, I mean, this isn't really a default, this is kind of just like a walk up exec, is stuff that, like, examples of stuff that you can do with this Viper wall, where you put the wall up and everybody can walk out, you drop it, you let them fight. If somebody walked out here, then next step, you could flash through the left side of the wall like I described with Yoru, fight with this Fade Dart. You could even move Omen here and have him throw some kind of paranoia like this. All while I think you should keep the orb up with this one because it is going to be a little bit harder to focus on the right side when you're fighting the left. Then, I guess this paranoia is going to get in the way. The other option you could do is drop the orb while the Viper wall is up and walk up, have Omen hold a flash here. If these guys get any contact, then Omen can rip the flash, blind the guy there, and you can take the space. If you don't get any contact there, which I think even if you do get contact and kill the guy, you should speed up into the site, obviously. But if you don't, you still have the Omen flash. You could go for an XX, something like this. I think the Vi should probably regroup a little bit more here, or like the Viper should be a little bit more with the pack. But you can do an exec with this specific util where you flash through, you dart through, maybe even seize. Where's Fade? There we go. Seize like back here, dog over here, something like that. And then Omen flash a lot of the spots where people will be playing on the site. Maybe like this instead, where like it gets this corner and towards a link. You could do this and then go into taking CT. Have like, if you have an extra guy with you, have the Viper hold this. Maybe orbit. I guess the orb would be used here, so that wouldn't be possible. But molly this, kind of stall for your teammates to go plant and then come back to help you hold CT. And then Vise can kind of play a little bit out towards here and play it for like a rotator through mid or something like that. But overall, that's really all I have for this comp. I think this is the strongest comp on this map by far. I've liked a few other comps, like I think Double Initiator could be okay on this map. But honestly, I think with the current meta and where like the strong agents are, I think this is what is going to be strong in this map. Like I think these are, honestly, you could argue that these are the 5 strongest agents in the game. Like, what would you even argue would be stronger, honestly? Like maybe Sova over Fade and like yeah. I mean, honestly, that's it. Like Sova instead of Fade would be the only thing I could see anybody arguing with this comp. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.